Annyeonghaseyo, Dobrodin, bonsoir, good evening, everybody. Just trying to show off on the little languages I learned on my way through life. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to my videos and liking and sharing, and the comments that you send to encourage me. So today we continue with self-love, but today I'm going to read a story that made me really crack up when I read it, and I shared it with my kids and we had such a good laugh. I have laughed out. I hope I don't laugh again as I read this story, but there is a good lesson to learn from it. It's a lesson of loving yourself enough not to assume anything about somebody else. Be on the same page, know what you're bargaining for. So I'm not a good reader, so hey, bear with me. Funke was the prettiest girl in class while we were in primary 2. She was loved by everyone else, including the teachers and students alike. Everyone wanted to be her friend, and I wasn't an exception. I used to pray for the day she would borrow my sharpener and I could have an opportunity to talk to her, but she never borrowed anything from me because she had lots of whatever she wanted. One day, the names of noisemakers were written in class, and her name and mine was written as well. When it was time for us to be whooped, the teacher said he was going to give us 3 whooping each. Even though I had a phobia for whipping, I decided to be a fine boy. I didn't want my Funke to see me cry. After my 3 weapons, I went and sat in my seat. It was there I saw my pretty Funke shivering out of fear. She was already crying even though it wasn't her turn to be whipped yet. My heart melted for her. Finally, her turn came. As the teacher was about to whip her, I stood up from my seat and shouted, "I will collect the whipping for her." The class became quiet. Everyone's mouth was open in shock. The teacher turned to me and said, "What did you say?" I replied, "I will get whipped for her." I felt like a savior. I wanted to use this opportunity to show her that I can go any length to get her attention. I was ready to do so with my little bum. "Come outside," the teacher commanded, and told Funke to go sit on her seat. Everyone gazed at me as the teacher fixed his eyes on me. As I got to where he was, he muttered something under his breath. "Stupid boy, I will show you today." And he grabbed the front part of my pants, and my little bum was very visible and smooth, revealing the lines of my panty. I knew I was in trouble because he didn't hold everyone else's pants the way he held mine. I was still feeling the pains from the whipping I had received from myself, and now I was about to collect the whipping for her. I didn't bother. At least my Funke would smile and be my friend after now, and she would borrow my sharpener. The first stroke landed on me and it felt like I had a cut straight to my bum. I screamed with pain as I tried to escape from the teacher's grip, but he was bigger and he held me so tight I couldn't escape. The second stroke came in. This time around, I was about to die in this man's arm. The whole class felt sorry for me. I tried to look at Funke's face. It was then that I saw her laughing at me. My heart broke like a screen of the TV. Here I am suffering for somebody who was laughing at me. By the time the third one came, I thought this time for real, I was dead. The teacher ended up giving me 6 weapons instead of 3, probably from me being stupid. I was paralyzed with It was as if I was paralyzed. Somehow I managed to get to my seat. Everyone was telling me sorry, and it made me cry even more. I expected my Funke to be the first person to come and tell me how sorry she felt, but she never came. After the closing hours, I was going to meet her and tell her and talk to her when I saw her talking to another boy from my class. Funke, how are you? I asked. She looked at me and burst into a loud laugh with the other boy, and I began to cry again. I felt betrayed. That day, I concluded that she was a witch because no normal person can do what she did to me. I was left with many questions. How could she not sympathize with me after all I did for her? Not even a small accolade. I was devastated. The lesson of this story is that Jesus died on our behalf, and many of us are still reluctant to accept him. The way you feel when you read about Funke's attitude is the way heaven feels at our ungratefulness. But the story continues. The next day at school, her name was written again as a noisemaker, but mine wasn't written because I had not even recovered from the strokes of the previous day, so I did not even have the power to make noise. As it got to her turn to be whipped, the teacher paused and asked, "Where is your husband that collected the whipping for you yesterday?" As she pointed at me, I wanted to invoke the heaven to strike her dead. And the teacher turned to me and asked, "Are you collecting the whipping for her again?" As I shook my head to say no, tears ran down my cheeks when I remembered the previous day, but that did not block my view from seeing Funke cry as the teacher unleashed 6 sweet whipping on her buttocks, and I clapped for him while I was on my seat. There is always a second time. Christ came the first time to save us, but the second time it will be for judgment. On the day of judgment, there is no mercy, no such thing as "I'll go to hell on your behalf." Now, as much as this guy was disappointed that the girl did not recognize what he did for her, let me ask you a question. How many times have you worked on assumption, doing things for people without letting them know your agenda, hoping that they'll return favors to you? How many times have you trusted and made sacrifices for people who don't even care about you? How many times have you hoped that you will sacrifice for people and they will be there for you in times of need? Talk to people. Be on the same page with people concerning what you want from them. And don't work on assumptions. If you render services to people, do so out of the kindness of your heart. Don't do it because you are expecting them to do something for you in return. If you expect something from them in return, make sure you talk to them. Let them know what they are getting themselves into, or know what you're getting yourself into. I just pray and I hope that you love yourself enough not to start sacrificing more than you are willing to bear, because it is really terrible for you to do things for people expecting help that will never come, or appreciations that will never come. Jesus sacrificed for each and every one of us, and still many of us are unappreciative of what he did. Just accepting him as Lord and Savior for what he has done is more than some people can even do. But yet, Christ still loves us, and he gives each and every one of us the opportunity to do so. If you have not accepted him as your Lord and Savior, you still have the opportunity to do so while you have the breath of life in you. Well, I'm glad I laughed out all my what the amusement I felt when I was reading that story, and I hope you find it amusing, but I hope you learned a lesson out of it, not just the funny part of it. Share this video if you like it, and talk to you some other time. Have a good night. Bye.